In this video, we're going to start talking about events. Events drive everything that we use to communicate the mouse, the keyboard, and other custom things that we want to share between objects. Events are very much like a conversation. So right now, I'm broadcasting to you what I'm saying. You are a listener listening to what I'm saying. The same exact parallel exists in ActionScript, where we have a broadcaster which is telling what's going on with, say, the mouse or the keyboard. And then we have specific objects called listeners, which are listening for specific actions that might be broadcasted by the mouse. So we're going to actually use this event listener, event broadcaster example and show how we can actually create a click handler that is able to respond to the mouse. So right now I have a new flaw file here where I have an object in the library called blue square, which I'm exporting as a blue square object. And I have some ActionScript that already shows that I'm creating the square and I'm positioning it and adding it to the display stack. So if I run this, I have a blue square on the desktop. Now, if I try and click this, it doesn't respond to anything. That's because in order for anything to respond to the mouse, I have to specifically code it to listen for what the mouse is doing. So an event listener is usually associated with the object that I want to listen from. So in this case, I want to listen to see if the blue square is clicked on. So I'm going to access the blue square instance first. So I'm going to type in blue square, and then I'm going to use the keyword add event listener. You'll notice that it turns blue because it's a recognized word. So now I need to provide the type of event that I want to listen for. There are a whole bunch of events. We're going to focus on the mouse today. Mouse events include mouse up, mouse down, mouse over. So let's actually use the mouse event and create an event for when we're detecting when the mouse has been pressed down. So we're going to call the mouse event, and then we have to define what type of event it is. All the event types are in all caps. So I'm going to use mouse down. You'll notice that again it's in all caps, and there is actually an underscore in between mouse and down. I'm then going to put a comma, because I've already declared what type of event I'm listening for. And now, when I actually hear this event from the broadcaster, I want to execute a specific function. This is called the callback function. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the name onClick. What happens is when I actually get the mouse down event broadcasted, this listener is then going to say, aha, you've clicked the mouse on the blue circle. Now I'm going to redirect the ActionScript to go directly to the onClick function. So now we have to define that next. So on line 8, here I am going to create a new function, and then I'm going to call it onClick. And then I actually need to define a parameter here. That parameter needs to be an event object. We're not going to use the event object in this particular example, but you need to include it because it's going to be passed into the function. Event objects are usually referred to by the letter E or sometimes by the word event. So we're going to add that in as E:, and this event is actually a mouse event. So we put that in here, and we put void at the end. And we're using void because we're not actually returning any values here. So then I'm going to open up my curly bracket and then close here. So I want to put a message to the output panel that shows the mouse button has been clicked. So I'm going to do trace, the blue square was clicked. So let's run this. So now if you notice when I click on the blue button, I get that output displayed into the output panel. Again, what's happening is the event listener is listening specifically for the mouse down event being broadcast by the blue square. The blue square is actually getting all kinds of other events broadcasted to it, but we're only listening for one. We're listening for mouse down. When we get mouse down, we then execute the callback function, which is onClick. When we get that event happening, onClick is executed, which is why we get the output to the panel. Let's add another one here. So let's go down and create blue square, add event listener, mouse event, mouse over. Mouse over is when I take the mouse pointer and I actually drag it on top of something. I don't even have to be pressing the mouse button to do it. It's anytime the pointer rolls over that particular object. Now I need to create the callback function. Let's do onOver. You'll notice that every single one of these specific event types I need to declare individually. So what I have to do now is create a separate callback function for onOver. I'm going to use the same format that I did for onClick. Create a event object, open and close my curly brackets for my code block, and then output to the output console, mouse over. So now when I test this, you'll see that when I mouse over this, it's broadcasting the mouse over event and is executing the callback function, and I get mouse over displayed in the output panel. Just like before, if I click on it, it's still capturing that click event, and then it's outputting the blue square was clicked to the output panel. So again, all the different mouse events that you're going to use need to be identified individually. So whether you're using mouse over, mouse down, or any of these other ones, you need to make sure you declare them separately. What we're going to do in the next video is talk about the timer event, where we can create time-based events that we can then incorporate in our ActionScript files.